Very beginning of FIRST, Michigan has been leading the way in a lot of ways. You heard Mr. Brugge talk about some statistics, over 300 First Lego League teams, over 60 First Tech Challenge teams. And he's wrong, he said 190, but I understand why. It's 100, there you are, it's 193.
Yeah!
193. But it's more than just, well, that's over 600 teams there, but it's more than just the quantities where Michigan's always been out front with FIRST. We know that FRC is our premier program. We know we're not trying to compete with the science fair. From day one, the plan of FIRST was get the kids that somehow grow up in a country where by the time, certainly they're in junior high school, they have all these superstars in their head. And they all come from the NBA, the NFL, or Hollywood. And I said, we're not competing with science fairs. We've got to create an event that is so exciting, that is such a big deal, that we can actually change kids' attitude about what's possible and what's important, and also fun. And you couldn't make a science fair ever meet that goal. So the science fairs, as I knew 20 years ago, would keep attracting the kids that might be lucky enough as kids to be told and to believe, you know what, there aren't a whole lot of jobs on a professional basketball team. There aren't a whole lot of jobs in Hollywood. There are millions and millions of careers out there. Millions. For kids that get really good at technology. In fact, if you don't like some of the jobs in some of those companies that offer those millions of jobs, if you get really good at technology, you just create your own companies. Google, Facebook. But to do that, I knew that we had to make something that's unbelievably exciting. And I knew that no matter what we did, you're not going to get kids to do something unless they see superstars doing it. Kids in this country don't play cricket because we play baseball and basketball, football, because that's what the professional athletes in this country do. So right from the beginning, I said, we got to find the superstars from industry, from universities, and show all kids what you can do if you put as much passion into developing this muscle as any of the others. And there was no city better to prove that the world of technology is really where it is, and where they build all the cars, and all the people that supply the stuff to build all the cars. I mean, I know last year there was some big crisis because one of the sports leagues went out on strike for a few months. To tell you the truth, I don't remember which one it is, but I know it must have been a big deal. Can you imagine if for a few months, no cars moved, no planes flew, the internet went down, there was no power, no electricity in the hospitals? The world of technology drives the world. And you need to be part of it. Anyway, from day one, it seemed to me, we need superstars, and we need some of the companies that represent the icons of the world's technology. Two of the longest term directors of the whole FIRST organization are icons of Michigan. One is Francois Castaing, who has been at all sorts of companies. And one is Tom Stevens, who just recently retired as the vice chairman of the board of General Motors. Now he's got more time to help us. But they've been involved almost from the beginning. And I think they really understand what our goal is. It's not to make a science fair. It's not to find a few kids here and there that already had a passion for engineering. I think they believed, as I believe, you get the best of what you celebrate in this free country. And kids are free to do whatever they want with their time, including wasting it. And we've got to convince kids not to waste their time. We've got to convince all kids, you can do this, and you can build careers. You can rebuild industries and cities if you're smart and you work hard. And after we got going, a lot of our new teams around the country and new regionals started seeing that as we're scaling up, it's going to get too expensive to reach every school. But the guys that build cars and the guys that have been around the Michigan way for a long time realized if we do it right, we can keep driving the quality up, the access up, and the cost down. And Francois, for instance, started a number of years ago to say, let's not just do regionals, one here and one there around the country. Let's do what they call district events. Let's go inside Michigan where we have so much density of schools that we can do, quote, regionals every single weekend of the March Madness season. So in this state, in this one state, you have the equivalent of 10 regionals in the last 5 weeks. That's astounding. One of the results of that is you keep proving that we can lower the cost of events, lower the cost of creating teams, lower the cost of a lot of things without reducing the quality. Because as we all know, there's a lot of dynasty teams from Michigan. And it's seen every time we see them around the country. It's seen every time we go to the championship. So it's not just that you lead the country and how many teams you have. In many ways, you're an example for the country of what happens if we get to scale, if we can just finally get to scale what we can do. 20 years ago, when it was one of my crazy ideas, and I had to get enough teams to make an event happen, I had to search over the whole country. We had one event in 1992. At the end of the build season, and every team in the world came to that event, all 23 of them. They came to Manchester, New Hampshire, in the middle of the winter, in February. It was the season, it was the eliminations, it was the championship, and it was over in Friday and Saturday morning. This year, we have over 22,000 teams, if you count all our programs, from 61 countries. We have 141 universities that are giving us over $15 million in scholarships for all of you. We have well over 90,000 volunteers, and Francois was just telling me, here alone in this state, about 1,000 volunteers, and that doesn't count 600 mentors. The scale of this thing is really getting there. But 20 years ago, I said, we've got to make it available to everybody, and it's got to end in a really big event. We're not competing with the science fairs for your heart and soul and your time and attention. We're competing with the Super Bowl. Well, last year, as many of you know, the Super Bowl, and if you don't believe this country, by the way, is obsessed with sports and entertainment, ask yourself this question. Why the biggest sport event of the year, the Super Bowl? It's already the biggest sporting event. Why do they have to interrupt it with entertainment? But they do. And last year, as you all know, they had will.i.am and the Black Eyed Peas. So we said, if the Super Bowl of football can have a halftime show with will.i.am and the Black Eyed Peas, why can't the Super Bowl of Smarts have a halftime show? Yes, it's a high school event, it needs a halftime show, and it needs to have will.i.am and the Black Eyed Peas. And as you know, we did it. So that's 20 years. But the point of all of that is, we gotta stay focused on our mission. Our mission is to make FIRST at least as big as any other sport. Because, as our chairman says, FIRST is the only sport, it's the only sport where every kid on every team can turn pro. It's the only sport where, besides having fun, the skill sets you develop can give you careers. If we can help show that this is every bit as exciting as any other sport, but remember how much more important it is in terms of what it can do for your life, we will accomplish the original goal of FIRST. Get the culture of this country back to one that celebrates innovation and entrepreneurship and taking reasonable risks so that we lead the world in creating solutions to major problems: energy, food, medical, transportation, communication, computing, nanotechnology, proteomics, genomics. You people have the